Kristen and David are both high AF. Oh, hello there, Rose390. Welcome back. David's daddy's baby mama is giving birth to a beautiful baby out in the field, right? It's an alien. She gave birth to an alien. Oh my god, what is that? What is that? What? Ew! What is happening? What is that? Oh my god, no. No, no. Well, that's something that you really want to see when you're giving birth to a baby. Oh, good timing, Andy. Daddy's home. Yep, that's what happened. Good timing, Andy. Really good timing. Yeah, so she's having sex with Leland. We have Vanessa happening. This is great. But then we learned some very, very interesting information about Vanessa. So those are the highlights. What we're going to do is we're going to now go back to the beginning of the episode and do a full recap. Let's go. What's up, Evil family? Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome here for the first time. I'm doing a recap of episode 8 of Evil. The name of the episode is Two Fathers. I'm starting at the beginning, but before we get into the episode recap, we need to talk about these puzzle pieces. This is one of the puzzle pieces. It appears right after the demon baby. Okay, guys, I've tried several times to pause this. You're just gonna see it. It's gonna appear right here, okay? Oh, did you see it? It was gone. It came and went. It was like right up there. So I'm going to put a screenshot up for you guys just so you can see it right now. There it is! Aha! It's right there. There we go. That's the closest we're going to get to catching it. But yeah, it's there. Hold up, guys. I just found another puzzle piece. Guys, it's right there. There's a puzzle piece right there. After the Ben and Vanessa talk in the studio, it's on the farm, the Acosta farm, and it's right up there. So now we can actually talk about the episode. The episode starts off with Kristen and David talking to the Monsignor about these symbols that they found. In the end of the last episode, we found this. It was part of the Codex, and it had all the different symbols to represent the 60. And as we learned in the end of the last episode, David's father had one of the symbols all over his painting. So of course, naturally, David wants to go visit his father and determine why he has this demonic symbol on his painting. This is the symbol he has found on his father's painting. Monsignor says, sure, you can go talk to your dad about these sigils that he has on his paintings, but Kristen has to go with you. You're not going by yourself. So we have a nice trip to the forest, right? Kind of, sort of, a nice trip to the country. We learned that David and his father haven't talked for the past 5 years, so obviously there was some tension there, and they are somewhat estranged. Kristen gets a call from Ben. Ben is doing some voiceover work for that little ghost hunting TV show that he did with that cute girl, Vanessa. Now remember, I thought that Vanessa would be a really, really cute ship, and it turns out Ben has tried to call Vanessa 3 times since she wrote her number on his hand, but she never returned his calls, so it could be a little bit awkward if they run into each other. Oh, and in case you were wondering, the douchebags that work on these productions are still douchebagging. Ben doesn't seem too thrilled about being there either. Oh, that just changed the mood. Vanessa is there. Oh, hey! We meet David's father for the very first time, who lives in a house that appears to be way up in the country. I'm guessing somewhere upstate, out in the middle of nowhere. David's father tells Kristen he wants to paint a t-shirt for her, something red. Now, we keep getting references to red, and we know that red is bad because Grace, the prophet, told Kristen to stay away from the color red. And as we know, Cheryl decided to put on the red dress after having sex with Leland. And there was a red car the killer drove in the last episode. Dad's having a party. He wants them to stay the night, introduce them to some people. We meet David's father's wife, David's new stepmother, I guess. Her name is Esther. She seems like a lovely person. Oh, and it looks like David is going to be having a little brother on the way. And then we meet another lovely lady. This is Corey, also his dad's wife. Mr. Acosta seems pretty happy with the current situation, and so do the women. They all think that Kristen is David's girlfriend. Now, Esther tells David and Kristen they need to stay for the ceremony where they have to call on the ancestors. Ben is just about had it with this ghost hunting douchebag and their show. He talks to Vanessa briefly. They say, hey, they're doing well, and then he leaves, and then she turns around and says, hey, by the way, 1 month is too long. Ben goes back and tells Vanessa he tried to call her 3 times, and she doesn't believe him. She never got the messages. She never got his phone calls. When Ben shows Vanessa the number that she wrote on his hand, it is not the right number. But the good news is Vanessa is interested in Ben, and she want to hang out. David and his dad go out to the barn. David asks his dad about the symbol. He doesn't really have much to say about it other than it's something that he saw that he thought was cool. He thought it would be neat to put on his paintings. In not so many words, David's dad says because, hey, art is kind of my religion. Something else he mentions is that something else is painting through him, or someone else is expressing themselves when he paints. So someone else paints through him. One observation David does make is that the sigils didn't start appearing in his father's paintings until 3 years ago. And when he asked his father what happened 3 years ago, well, 3 years ago he met his 2 new wives, Corey and Esther. Meanwhile, Kristen is talking to Corey and Esther, and she's starting to feel a little loopy. That's because the sangria was laced with some type of hallucinogen that is very expensive. Kristen sees a sigil once again. This time it's on the pottery. When Kristen asks the wives about the symbol on the pottery, Esther says, I don't know, it's just something that she saw that she liked. It turns out Leon, David's dad, uses that symbol because he was introduced to it through Esther's pottery. As I mentioned in the beginning, perfect timing for dad to come home. Yeah, Kristen is off getting high and hallucinogen. I gotta admit, I almost peed when we finally saw Andy, dad, in the flesh, because, you know, there was a lot of conspiracies that he was dead. Well, he's alive. Go figure. Patrick Brommel. I love Glitch. Guys, if you've not watched Glitch, it's on Netflix. It's an Australian show. It's really good. Go watch it. Go binge it. If you have time, go binge it. It's really good. That's a great thing to come home to. Oh, look, the girls are home. Hey, daddy's home. Well, the 3 younger ones seem thrilled about it. The older one, not too crazy about the fact that he's been gone all this time. To be honest, I really don't blame her. But there's a party going on, and everyone's drinking the Kool-Aid, which is laced sangria. Kristen is high, and David is high. They're both high as David tells Kristen his dad claims not to know what the sigil means. Kristen informs David that Esther was the one that introduced this symbol to his dad. They decide they want to keep an eye on Esther for that reason, and also the fact that she introduced this ceremony they have where they try to conjure up the ghosts of their ancestors. As far as I know, you could potentially bring in or contact or conjure up a demonic entity when you're having a seance. Back at the studio, this douchebag Tony is trying to make Ben sound whiny, so he is doing some type of manipulation to the sound, the audio, to make his voice sound higher pitch. Vanessa picks up on this. She gets annoyed with Tony. He basically does this to every person of color. So Vanessa deletes the whole file and says to Ben, let's get the heck out of here. So it looks like Vanessa might happen after all. So it's time for the ritual seance. Something tells me that they're probably more inclined to see ghosts or ancestors if they're high as It looks like a party to me. I don't know. It looks like fun to me. So I don't know if you guys noticed this, but up here at the house, a light comes on and you see something here. Let's go back and take a look at this. Look at this. A light comes on and there's somebody up there. What is that? Who is that? And what does that mean? Meanwhile, Dad looks like having fun with the girls. The oldest daughter, still not happy with Dad. Oh, and we really get some nice tea here. They do not like each other. Cheryl asks Andy to keep this whole thing that he saw her having sex with her new boyfriend under wraps because, well, we all know that Kristen thinks that she broke up with him, and we all know that she didn't. Andy is willing to keep that a secret, but there is definitely some tension in this exchange here. These two do not like each other at all. Andy then tries to call Kristen. You know, she isn't there. He wants to know where she is. Where is she? Her phone is going off in her pocket, but she doesn't feel it. Probably because she doesn't feel anything at this point. And who's she dancing with? She's dancing with David. I do ship these two characters, but I think at this point it'd be better just to build up this unresolved sexual tension for a while and then just kind of let it sit there. So Vanessa seems to be doing well, right? It looks like our ship is starting to sail, and then something completely weird happens. But Ben can't get it out of his head, the fact that he did not write down the numbers wrong, or wasn't dialing the wrong number, and he wants to know why she wrote the numbers down wrong on his hand. Turns out that it wasn't her. It was her sister that is somehow still haunting half of her body. So it wasn't Vanessa that gave Ben the wrong number, it was her sister. She doesn't want them to be together. And that's Ben's reaction. Back at the party and the chant and the ceremony, in the midst of all this celebration of ancestors, David meets a lovely, cute lady. Her name is Annie. He has a nice exchange with her. She tells him, hey, come meet me at the barn later. I'll be hanging out there. Kristen is chasing balls of light under this hallucinogen, and she suddenly hears what sounds like screaming noises coming from the cornfields, and it sounds like a woman is screaming and crying out in pain. When Kristen gets out to the cornfield, she finds Esther, and it looks like Esther is gone into labor. She's having the baby. She pushes and pushes, and she appears to give birth, but a baby doesn't come out. It's a beautiful baby blob. And that's a big mood right there. This is how I feel about this entire scene. That's not a baby. That's not a baby. I don't know what that is, but that's definitely not a baby. Esther still loves it. I guess it's nice that she's gonna love this thing. I don't know what to think of this. Might be a little bit over the top for me, and that says a lot because I like over the top. It's like gonna eat her face. Its head is bigger than her. What happened here is Kristen was hallucinating. Back at the house, Andy learns about George, this visitor that's the monster under the bed that pees in Laura's bed. The girls want to play the VR game with Dad. Yeah, the one that they're not supposed to play. Yeah, Dad's there. So, you know, when Mommy says no, you run to Daddy. That's the oldest trick in the book. We also hear about Ben. Ben the Magnificent. He fixed the game, and he fixes other things. The girls are gushing about Ben, and I'm kind of loving this moment here, because Ben is awesome. Ooh, and we have the oldest child saying Ben is around a lot. Daddy agrees, let's go play the game. Let's go conquer these monsters. Meanwhile, David goes to the barn to look for his new friend Annie. Ah, but somebody is there. His dad's there. David tells his dad that he is out there looking for Annie, who told him to meet him at the barn. When his dad asks Annie who, he says Annie Commerce. Now this turns out to be an ancestor of theirs. It turns out summoning the ancestors actually summons ancestors. So Annie is essentially a ghost. And she was a slave. This woman existed in the 1850s. Her last name was given to her because of the ship that she arrived on. This is a photograph that someone took of her when she was purchased. David isn't quite sure what to make of this, but when he turns the document around, he sees the seal on it, and that is the sigil that's all over his dad's paintings. And we learned something very interesting that actually makes everything fall into place. This is actually the symbol of the slave owner's brand. So that is definitely a symbol for evil right there. David isn't too happy that his dad is using the seal of a racist that owns slaves. It represents evil, so he doesn't want his dad branding his art with this seal. But the good news is it's actually not Leon that's evil, it's the symbol that belonged to the slave owner. Leon is aware that this is a symbol for pain, and it's a burden that he carries and everyone in his family has carried, including David. But by using it as a symbol, he's actually reclaiming that pain and using it as a symbol of power. So Leon reached out and reclaimed that branding as his own. So for Leon, it's actually a symbol of resilience. David doesn't really agree with his father on this matter, but I think the two of them have come to an understanding and agreement that they can have different views and different perspectives on how they deal with pain and evil and how they view things in the world differently and accept each other for what they believe in and their own beliefs. Meanwhile, Vanessa seems to be sinking. I'm sorry, it didn't even start to sail before it started to sink. Ben cannot get past this idea of this phantom arm sister. The whole thing, you know, Ben is a skeptic, so this is very odd for him. Ultimately, Ben decides he wants to stay, so I think he's willing to put it past him, and maybe Vanessa will sail again. And I think Ben is still thinking about this other sister that's haunting half of Vanessa. So he runs to the bathroom. He doesn't quite know how to process this. Yes, he likes the girl, but this is weird because technically if there's another girl involved, or like this ghost that's watching them, there's like 3 people involved, like a girl and her sister now, but her sister's dead. He doesn't know what to do, so he calls David. Ultimately, Ben's question to David is, should he just ignore the weirdness? And David's answer is, the world is weird, which is true. Back at the Bouchard house, Andy and the girls are chasing down these monsters. Dad is actually really, really good at the game, and he's kicking ass at it. Oh, yay, he killed the creepy spider. Uh-oh, what do we have here? The Ouija board. And there she is. Welcome back, Rose. What is happening to Rose? So, he's gonna keep coming towards you. What you gonna do now? And just like that, Rose just kind of dissolves to pieces, and they effectively close the board. You know, if you're around more often, you could probably help the girls with this stuff. And I guess Andy's the hero again. And on their way home, it looks like they took their Uber. Decide they're not going to tell the Monsignor about the sangria, but maybe they will tell the Monsignor about Kristen assisting Esther on giving birth to this ghoul thing. Pretty sure Kristen is still high at this point. So that whole birth thing was definitely a hallucination, or so we think. That could change, but for now we're gonna just say it's a hallucination. She's looking very cozy on David's shoulder there. Time to get out. This is your stop. This really looks like the end of a date. I'm sorry, it does. And they did this on purpose. Also note she is wearing a red shirt. So maybe his dad did paint a red shirt for her. There might have been other things that happened that we didn't even see. I didn't even know what happened to Kristen's jacket, because I think she had on a jacket when she was there when they arrived. So now she has David's sweatshirt. She seems very happy right now. She even looks back at him. She's like, hello, bye-bye. She turns around. Oh, hello. He's home. Yeah, Very weird. Oh boy. Things are about to get a hell of a lot more interesting. That is the end of the episode. This was the first episode that I feel there was no case file, really. This was 100% about these characters and their storylines. I guess his father technically was the case. It was different than anything we've seen so far on the show, and I really liked it because they keep switching things up. The format of the show is really good. I like the procedural aspect of the show, but this episode changed things a little bit, and a lot happened. So next week is Thanksgiving, so there won't be a new episode. I think there will be one the following week, I'm not sure, but what I do want to do is go through everything we have so far and put together a video that deals with unanswered questions for everything that we have seen so far, including the puzzle pieces, including these like mysterious characters that pop up and we see, like the demon child inside David's room, that person in the window we saw earlier in the episode, we still don't know who or what that was, and any other questions that need to be answered. So even though we don't have another episode next week, I will probably put out a video. As always, I love to read your comments, so please leave a comment down below and let me know what you guys think or what you thought of this episode. I had a smile on my face the whole time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't have a second that I wasn't entertained. I like that parts of the show they're keeping kind of lighthearted. It's important to do that because otherwise this type of subject matter can get very dark. I really love these characters. I love everything that's happening in the series so far. I firmly believe that nothing is done without a purpose, but I do want to know if I missed anything in this episode because I do miss things almost every episode. So leave a comment below and let me know what you think. I want to hear from you. But thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you in my next video.